Hey everyone, welcome. It is 1 p.m. on Thursday, March 28th. We just got the closing bell, and it was a pretty quiet session. It really matched the entire week where we traded flat for most of the day, and then a last hour or half hour, we start to get some directionality and movement. Institutional traders come in and start moving the market a little bit. Although in this case today, we didn't really move it all that much. We went up, we came back down a little, and we closed, looks like way down at the 523 level last minute. We had this long bar down. We looked like we were going to be at the 524, which would have been very close to the all-time highs, but instead it looks like we pulled back a little bit, actually very close or just below where we opened. So overall, just a sideways trading day and a sideways trading week. If we look at this on a 1 week basis, you can see that, yeah, we gained a tiny bit, but really not all that much. So chopping sideways in the S&P, which is what we were expecting this week anyways, with the holiday week. But next week, we'll have to see if we can get some direction. If we keep chopping sideways, then this market will have trouble moving upwards for a while. We'll probably be stuck in consolidation for a bit. There are a lot more forces that are kind of pushing down on it. At the very least, in the short term, we should get to that EMA 8, which is really nowhere. We're just so close to it right now that it's probably more likely that we may approach that EMA 20 sometime next week. When we look at the other indices, actually, let's look at TLT first. See, TLT came up, it came very close to the top of this channel right here and traded back down throughout the day. That could be a touch, close enough to a touch where we might start trading lower towards this horizontal line again. Earlier in last week, we were in TMF or TLT, triple leverage TLT, for a few days, and we did catch this movement upwards. But now that trade is over, or actually we closed it out early, but for sure today would be the last day of it. We would want to watch and see if we start trading lower towards this horizontal line. So Monday, it could be a possibility where we enter a TLT or TMF put to take advantage of the movement back down to either this horizontal line or the bottom line of this channel right here. QQQ flat, just chopping sideways, really just increasing this rectangle right here, not really going anywhere. And then the Dow Jones, again, matching all-time highs today, not really moving anywhere. It's going to be the same story as the S&P. We weren't really expecting any directionality this week, but we did trade all the way down to that EMA 8 and pop right back up to all-time highs. This probably means if we look at the number of 90-day highs and number of 90-day lows, we're probably still going to be in the 400s, maybe even slightly higher than we were at the close of yesterday, which was 443. And the closer we get to that 500, 505 number, the more impossible it becomes for us to sustain it. So we really should expect this very imminently to start pulling back towards that EMA 8, but again, more likely that EMA 20. So let's take a look at, I guess, at that, because there's not that much more to look at. We were saying that the week was going to be quiet, that we were going to probably not get very directional. The only potential directionality we were looking for was today after the GDP report, and that ended up not really doing much for us, and so we just chopped sideways. Next week, we'll see when all the senior traders return, if we start to get some volatility. There's also some reports to digest on Friday that the market won't get to respond to until Monday morning. So Monday will probably be pretty active. I don't know if we'll get directionality, but we should get range at the very least. The last several days in the S&P, we've really just gone nowhere, except at the last hour, we maybe got one point or one and a half points of movement. So we can see that we just really just been very quiet, except for that last half hour to 1 hour. So Monday is probably going to change that. We'll hopefully get some volatility back in, and it'll help with directionality, with trades. But unfortunately, we are still in a sideways moving region. The Dow Jones did break above and challenge the top of this box and bounce off of it, but now we're hitting the all-time high. And if it can't break above it, then we're just coming right back down to the top of that box. And we're either going to draw a new box right up here, or this is going to come back in and we'll extend this box over here. Same with the QQQ. We are in that box. We're not seeing it break out. If it bounces off of the EMA 8, then we may see that breakout, but probably more likely at the very least to visit that EMA 20 before doing that, which means that we'll be in that box for a little bit longer. And the S&P 500, kind of same deal as the Dow Jones. We may draw a new box up here, or we would just say, hey, it went up, it tested, and then started to move up again, and we need to see it break through. Or if it's going to fail, if it fails to EMA 20, does it break the trend finally, and then visit the MA 50? And if it does do that, do we bounce from the MA 50 or do we trade straight through it? But probably we would bounce off the MA 50. That would be the higher probability event. And given where we are right now, it's probably a little bit more likely that we're going to bounce off of that EMA 20 as well. So right now we're just looking at a limited range, and we have to pick our stocks very, very, very carefully. And when things are at the all-time highs and we see that momentum map that we looked at earlier this morning is just completely one shade and one color, that makes it very difficult. So then we really, really have to be very judicious about the trades that we take and just be really good at picking stocks like that. 100% of energy stocks above their 5, their 20, and their 50-day moving average. That is crazy. Same with materials, 100% above their 50-day moving average, 100% of utilities above their 5 and 20-day moving averages. It's pretty rare to see 100% of any sector being above anything, except for maybe in a longer term trend. But even you can see that even in 200, that's just simply not the case. So this market is ready for a pullback, at least a mild pullback, not necessarily a 5% pullback, but at the very least back down, we're looking at that EMA 20 right there. So when we look at, let's look at those 90-day highs and lows. This morning we're at 443. All right, reload this. Is that today? Today, 456. 456. So we moved a tiny bit higher, but you can see that we're struggling to move significantly higher. And in fact, we have a ceiling at 500 or 505 stocks right here, because we're only looking at the QQQ and S&P 500 when we're looking at this. So it's very limited. It's not really that possible for us to move much higher. We have seen it at 497 before, or right around 500, but that's really, really extreme. This is already getting to that extreme level. So we are really just expecting an imminent pullback. Let's take a look at IWM. I forgot to look at that, I think. Yeah, so IWM did manage to break out of this pink line range right here and make a new high today, but then we get this hammer candle. So it's having problems up here. And every time it's done that before, so we used to have this pink line down here. Okay? And every time it did that before, it pulled back, tried again, pulled back, tried again, pulled back, trying again right now. And for now, there's no real stimulus. There's no reason for small cap stocks to break out. There's no fundamental reasons. There's no catalyst. There's no reports. There is, with the jumbled up nature, the fragmented nature of the sectors, there's no really good reason for us to believe that this is going to continue. We have staples at the top with tech, or utilities at the top with tech or semiconductors, and it just doesn't nothing is aligned. And if we keep having money switch out of blue chips and tech, blue chips and tech, blue chips and techs, there's no way that any of the indices can keep on moving upwards significantly. So really, we don't expect the IWM to continue to move upwards unless we start seeing tech rally very hard again, and the IWM tries to catch up with that. But for now, the more likely scenario is that we're going to trade down back into this pink range, at least a little bit, maybe not all the way in, but like this one, where just a baby pullback into that EMA 8. We're probably at that stage as well, given that we have an extreme in the 90-day highs and an extreme low number in the 90-day lows. So for now, we're going to expect that we get volatility coming back next week. We'll probably get volume coming back next week. So our volume, I guess we had decent volume today. But next week, we should see some price movement, at the very least, larger bars than we saw this week. You can see that these bars, if you count the very top and bottom, if you count the wicks and shadows, those are all bigger, maybe about twice as big as these right here. So we will expect that to start returning back into the market. And for now, we're just going to wait and see if we do get that pullback to the EMA 8, but more likely to the EMA 20 before we start moving into new positions. And we want to see that price movement and direction come back into the market before we start going into either the medium term trades. So a 1-day trade, 2-day trade might be okay, but a 3, 4, 5-day trade isn't going to make a lot of sense. So if I started this week with a 1 or 2-day trade to the downside, I could have made some money. And then if 2 days ago, I started with a 1 or 2-day trade that took advantage to the upside, I could have made some money. But if I took a 5-day trade, I would have went completely flat. It didn't matter if it was a put or a call, and I would have lost money, or I would at best be break even if I was doing stocks, or I would be losing money due to time decay if I was doing options. Same thing for this whole green region right here. A couple days down, a few days up, a 1 day down, a couple days up, 2 days down, a 1 day up, then sideways, 1 day down, 2 days up. You see, so that we can make money in very short segments, or I can make money in just say 1 month segment from the beginning of March to the beginning of April. We're not quite April yet, but you can see that, yes, I got some movement right here. So I need to choose my time frame of my investments very wisely right now. It's got to be really, really, really short term, 1 or 2 days max, or it's got to span 3, 4, 5 weeks or more. And I can't sit in this, I don't know, 3 to 5 to 10 trading days, so 1 or 2 week trading day region. Otherwise, I'm just going to get chopped and lose time value and not make any money. So we're going to continue to be very judicious. This is a time where we have to choose our option, our expiration, our investment period, and the stock very, very carefully. So this is where the professionals make their money. They prove their salt here. Because anyone can make money when the market is just screaming upwards, or you have a true bull market and the tide rises all ships. But now with the chop and the back and forth and the jumbling of sectors, the constant rotation of sectors, this is where professionals prove their salt and hopefully make you and make themselves a lot of money. So it's becoming a little bit more interesting. We've got to be a little bit more skillful, a little bit more analytical, a little bit more precise in everything that we do. So that's what we're doing. We're becoming more careful and more judicious in all of our positions. So that is it. We had a quiet week, mostly just trading sideways, and hopefully we get some volatility back next week. In the meantime, this is the last trading day of the week. We won't have anything over the weekend because of the Easter holiday, and there will be nothing tomorrow because the markets will be closed, and it's technically a holiday also. Good Friday is also a holiday. So I will see you guys next week on Monday in the pre-market. Have a wonderful weekend. Enjoy your holiday weekend, and I will see you next week.